Hello everyone, today we're going to be doing a first round preview of the Florida Panthers taking on the Washington Capitals. Now, before we start, please make sure to subscribe to my channel if you are new. Now let's get to it. So this series is going to be a really big matchup for both sides for a lot of different reasons, but of course it's a must-win series for the Florida Panthers, who just won their first President's Trophy and look to win a playoff series for the first time since 1996. Having said that, let's talk about some storylines, some factors in this series, and then for starters, we're going to have to talk about the fact that Claude Giroux will be expected to play very, very well in this series. He was and still is, I think, in a lot of people's eyes, viewed as a top-line caliber player and looks to be probably a rental for Florida. For the Panthers, talks about maybe him going to Ottawa, maybe him going just anywhere else. I don't know. Florida's got some cap things they're going to have to figure out, I believe. He's a guy, though, that is versatile and can play center or out on the wing and was brought in to beef up their already loaded roster. They had 13 different players score 10 or more goals on the year. And if you include Giroux, you actually make that 14 players. Still, the team expects a lot out of this longtime Philadelphia Flyer who scored 3 goals and notched 20 assists for 23 points in 18 games with Florida. He's listed to play a lot of minutes on the second line with Jonathan Huberdeau and Sam Bennett, two guys that Drew played well with, and that bodes well for the Panthers as they have this second line that is lethal and have played well, really well together in limited minutes on the year, considering Claude didn't get over from Philly till about mid-March. If this line gets going, then it's going to be a long series for whoever they face. But there's still another guy I'm going to look at to make an additional impact in this series for the Panthers. That, of course, is going to be Sam Reinhart. And Sam came over in a trade with Buffalo before the season. And he already looked like a good player on a really, I don't want to say bad, but a talented deficit team, I guess, if you want to say that, for the Sabres, as they were in a rebuild, still are, I guess. But he went on down to Florida and showed, unsurprisingly, that he could have put up bigger numbers on a better team, still put up good numbers on a bad team, and one of those years was without Eichel for a lot of it, so that was really impressive there. Went on down to Florida and did well. The 26-year-old will likely continue to grow too in the next few years as he hits his peak, but has already scored 33 goals this year, alongside 49 assists for 82 points in 78 games played, with 16 of his goals coming on the man advantage this year. Sam's a guy, too, that probably could move around lineup, and I think he'd do just fine, so look for him to be a threat on multiple different lines. Playing around with that lineup could be something they do. See what a good matchup is in the playoffs while you go up against Washington. You're hoping you're going to be able to beat easily. We'll have to see. Now, of course, another storyline here we have to talk about in general is just Florida's offense. I mean, that's got to be talked about. The Panthers set a record for the most goals scored in the salary cap era with 338 goals for an average of 4.12 goals per game. So, we know they're able to score, and we are well aware of that. This team is a team that put up 7+ goals so many times this year. I actually can't remember how many it was now. I went back and looked through the notes, but I must have not put it in here. But yeah, they scored a touchdown pretty regularly and then put up a PAT as well. And opposing teams are going to be wary of them heading into the postseason. But, of course, Washington is a team that will have to try to stop that in the beginning because they are the team playing them in the first round. They know this is a great, terrific Panthers offense, and they preferably would like to play them 5-on-5 because Florida has been such a good team on the man advantage. It's going to be a lot of work for them, though. The Panthers finished first in the league on full strength. They had goals 4/60, scoring chances 4/60, high danger chances 4/60, and medium danger chances 4/60 as well. For the Capitals, they know that they'll have to weather the storm and try to score as many opportunities as they can on the counterattack, with the Panthers still kind of struggling to give up or limit the high danger chances on their own end. Unfortunately for the Capitals, though, they do not have a lot of high danger chance guys that are able to get those good looks, and I think that, good grief, whatever it was, I went through and looked at whatever the total was or their rate, and it was way down there in the hundreds. It was their first guy. I would say probably expect someone like John Carlson to be the guy that makes that impact, a guy that has the stretch play impact, those stretch passes, so I think that he could be the guy to generate those looks in order to get them some opportunities, but it's going to be something to look forward to. And fortunately, in a defensive way, the Capitals have been able to limit shots down low in the low slot, which is good for them and is big against a team like Florida who's been good at scoring from all over the place, except from that far left side. They haven't had a lot of luck there. This is where you have to think about some things as well, as Ilya Samsonov is part of their 1A, 1B goalie situation in net, but this might be better to start Vitek Vanacek over Ilya. Why? Well, because Vanacek has been the better goalie over the year, and especially when it comes to stopping dangerous looks. Vanacek ranks 14th out of 76 goalies in the league for high danger save percentage who played at least 300 minutes. On the other hand, Samsonov ranks 67th in the league in that same category, and while he faces a little bit higher rate of high danger shots, it should not be so much that he goes all the way down to 67th, so that's concerning, and it's not enough to really say that's fair. So I would go with Vanacek here, or at least to start off the series. Might be an unpopular opinion. I don't know. It kind of seems like some Caps fans think Samsonov is going to be their future, and then Vanacek won't be, but then vice versa. I have no idea what the future in that looks like for Washington, to be honest with you. But anyway, you're looking to see that they will have to play well because they don't have old man Craig Anderson to bail them out. I believe he had one amazing game in the playoffs last year, and that was really just fun to see, but he's not there anymore, of course, up in Buffalo. Hopefully he can keep on playing, but if Washington hopes to upset Florida, it's time to expect something from one of these two goalies, regardless of who on this team is opposing them. In this case, the President's Trophies winners would like to score like crazy, and I think one of the things that we have to talk about as well, though, to close out this storyline, this narrative, is who is going to be helping out Washington. Well, of course, you have the old guys, the veterans. You have Alex Ovechkin, who scored 50 goals in 77 games during the 2021-22 season, and that was good there. He, along with other veteran guys, will once again have to do this and get this team going in the playoffs, trying to get out of the first round. It seems like they've been stuck there for a lifetime, and they're good. They are a good team. They have a reliable group that will get them in the playoffs, but I also think that they struggle to get past that round, especially as of late. You remember that was the case before they got out of the Cup, was they couldn't get to the conference finals, all that good stuff, yada yada. But I do think you're going to have to see some other guys perform as well, notably Tom Wilson and Anthony Mantha. Wilson may be one of the least liked players in the league for his gritty but definitely over the line play, but he's also a good player. In case you didn't know that, he is a guy that plays hockey. He's not just some goon that goes around and just batters everybody in the boards. Does it a lot. Definitely gets underneath people's skin, and that will be part of his job for his team against Florida early on, but I also expect him to perform out on the wing. As for Mantha, the Caps got him in a trade, and they need him to be a contributor on offense as well if they're not seeing him score in the first round last year on 15 shots. And while there's plenty of other guys to talk about, these two I think are really guys that need to play well. Wilson, I don't know. I think it's a guy that if he doesn't play well, it's not the end of the world, because regardless of if he scored 10 goals in this series, people would still say he's a bum. But for Mantha, he is a guy that I really think for him in Washington, they need him to work out, especially right now. So, having said all this, and of course there's always so much more to talk about, I have to pick. And so for this series, I will be picking the Florida Panthers in 6 games to win this. I think Washington realistically will put up some fight, show a little grit, and should at least take it to 5. If they get swept, it's really an embarrassment. I know that they are going up against the President's Trophies winners, and that's going to be tough, but they are a team that was good enough to get in the playoffs. They've got a reliable group that is good enough to get them there, but I think that's about it for now, and a team that I said last year has that potential to make the playoffs, but I'm not sure going forward if they're going to be winning a lot of rounds. Of course, running into some very good teams as well. And while I will say I do have my doubts about Florida's goaltending against fellow contenders, I still think I don't see them being undone by Washington, who I still see has more issues in net. I really like Bobrovsky. I know he's a guy that has struggled in good part of his time with Florida, but he played really well with the Blue Jackets before he went on over to Florida and has played well this year, all things considered. And Spencer Knight, we've seen the talent. We know he can play well, so I think I'm going to trust him over the duo in net for Washington. And I still think this Panthers team has enough on the offensive side of the game they'll be able to win, and especially if they get on this power play early on in this series, this is going to be a really tough series for Washington. As for who do I want to win, surprisingly, I'm going to say Florida. I know you usually don't want the best team in the league to go on a deep run, but Florida fans deserve a series win, and really much more after years of seeing mediocre teams play. and now they have a team that's very watchable, very fun to watch, play a lot of offensive style hockey that is able to generate a ton of goals and get them wins. So I think that I really would like to see them do it. And of course, Washington got their championship back in 2018, and it would of course be all right if they won. I'm fine with it, but I'd really like to see Florida win a round. But now it's time to hear who you would pick, and make sure to comment that down below in the comments, who will win and in how many games. I always love to hear that from you guys. I always love to hear the debates in the comments. It cracks me up, some of the stuff you say, but please be respectful. Obviously, there's a line. If you want to joke around with people, that's fine, but don't go places you wouldn't go if you saw them in person. So anyway, don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you are new, want to see more content from me. Also, don't forget to check out my other series previews. I'll leave that at the end of the video. It'll be a playlist you can just click on, watch all my other videos there if you would like to. Hopefully you will, and hopefully you subscribe. Everybody stay safe, have a great night, and you go off hockey all right. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.